Okay, we're back. So the tzarich gufo ein letzorech mekaymo lo. For the sake of its use, it said, fine, you're allowed to use it like the blacksmith hammer, but not for its place. If you need the space, you shouldn't move it. Still, it was permitted to take a utensil only if it could be moved with one hand, but not if it needed to be moved with two hands. Until they finally said, all utensils may be taken on the Shabbos, even if they must be taken with two hands, except for these two examples that the Mishnah mentioned, a large saw and a coulter that was made to plow. Amar Rava mikdis itiru ketoni. The fact is that the Brisa teaches that after the initial prohibition, they permitted asking utensils for the sake of filling specific needs. Okay? What is the difference between moving something for the sake of its use and moving it for the sake of its place? Either need is a legitimate one, and there is no reason to differentiate between them. What does that mean if I use it for its use, like to crack a nut? Well, I need the place, so I move it aside. What's the difference? Right, that's a good question. So, first, they permitted moving something that is used primarily for permitted work. Something that usually, let's say a knife, usually it's not forbidden on Shabbos to cut vegetables. So of permitted work, both for the sake of its use and for the sake of its place. And they further permitted moving it from the sun to the shade for its protection, for its own protection, the protection of the utensil, even when there is no need for its use or place, just for the fact that it's in the sun and it might be damaged. Then they further permitted moving something that is used primarily for prohibited work, only for the sake of its use and for the sake of its place. For the sake of its place and for the sake of its use, yes. But not from the sun to the shade. And still, it was permitted only to move utensils that could be taken by one person, but not those that needed to be taken by two people. All utensils may be taken on the Shabbos, even if they must be taken by two people, except for a large saw and a coulter. Abai challenged him on the basis of the following brisa. Medoicho, a mortar in which garlic is usually crushed. Im yeshbo shum metaltinois, if it contains garlic, it may be moved on the Shabbos. Vim lav ein metaltinois. You know how you say garlic in Hebrew?
Garlic. How?
You just read it. Im yeshbo shum.
Shum?
Yeah, metaltinois. If it contains garlic, it may be moved on the Shabbos. Has shum in it.
Shum.
Yeah. Vim lav ein metaltinois. But if it does not have shum in it, it may not be moved. So he said, I can interpret this as meaning that the mortar may not be moved for the sake of its place, but how will you accommodate the Braisa's ruling? He says, we are dealing here. What are we dealing with here? It is with moving the mortar from the sun to the shade for its protection. Esivei challenge Rava on the basis of the following: by Shovin, Betei, Beis Shammai, and Beis Hillel agree concerning a pestle. Shim kitzer v'olov basar shosur tater, that if one has already chopped meat on it, he may not move it on Yom Tov. Why? Gemara says, I can interpret this as meaning that the pestle may not be moved for the sake of its place. How will you accommodate the Baisa's ruling? Here too we are dealing with moving the item from the sun to the shade for its protection. The Gemara explains when the original prohibition against moving utensils are enacted. This teaching was taught in the days of Nehemiah ben Chachalya. Dichtiv. Bayomim ohemo roisi v'Yehuda derchim gitis b'Shabbos u'meviim ho'aremus. During those days, I saw people in Yehuda pressing wine vats on the Shabbos and bringing in the hips from the field. Yeah, the piles, heaps from the fields. Amar Bilozo Kein Koninu Makris Glusto Medecho. The Tanoic teaching concerning tubes, staffs, a knob, and a mortar, Kulan Koi de Matoas Kelim Nishnu, were all taught before the movement of utensils was permitted. According the teaching concerning tubes that Nan we learned in a Mishnah Lo Yisidu, according we learned also Derechas Shabbos. Neither the arrangement of the tubes on the temple shulchan, on temple table, nor the removal overrides the Shabbos laws. Maklois, the teaching concerning staffs that Nan we learned in a Mishnah, Maklois dakin chalokin arishon. There were thin, smooth staffs there in the temple, and one would place a staff on his shoulder and his fellow's shoulder. Suspend his slaughtered Pesach offering from the staff and flay it. Amar Rabbi Lozo Eimer. Rabbi Lozo says, when the 14th of Nisan fell on Shabbos, one would place his hand on his fellow's shoulder, and his fellow's hand on his shoulder, suspend the slaughtered Pesach offering from their arms and flay it. So they had to do it b'shinui. We'll continue, God willing, tomorrow. Bruchim to you.